Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. I'm at Baucom's Nursery over near Charlotte, North Carolina, and standing in an amazing group of orange rocket barberries right now. Orange rocket's a fantastic plant. We've had one of these in a container at the home garden for about 2 years now. This one can get 4 feet tall, but only about 1.5 feet wide, and you can see how they're growing in these containers like that. It starts out kind of a coral color in the springtime and then ages to this, burgundy red color during the summer and into fall. And then it starts to pick up other oranges and things in the fall color, which is happening now. It's just a beautiful plant. We've had one, like I say, one of these in a container. They're hardy in zone 5 to 9, so we can leave ours in our container year round in zone 7B in Raleigh, the Raleigh area. But what a great plant. Really almost no maintenance whatsoever to do on this one, and you get this upright narrow habit, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it offers a lot of color. We found a beautiful newly potted crop of red diamond Loropetalum here at Baucom's. You can see the red flowers on red diamond. More typical on these purple foliage Loropetalum is more of a pinkish color, but this one has a true red flower, and then the foliage, the purple foliage color goes all the way through the plant, which is, kind of a newer thing in Loropetalum, where we get the, normally the older leaves would turn green, but this one stays, again, purple through the whole plant. This one's considered a mid-size Loropetalum, so we have lots of dwarfs, new dwarf varieties, and then a lot of the old ones got 20, 25 feet tall. This one is maintainable about 6 feet in height, 6 feet in width. It will get taller than that if you're not maintaining it. The growth will slow down on it some as it gets into that height range, but easily pruned and maintained at that height. These will bloom heavily in the spring, and then here we are in November, and they still have a few remontant flowers on them. So they'll get, they will repeat bloom some, after the spring flowering during the summer and the fall. So this is a red diamond Loropetalum. We found a house of purple Daydream Loropetalum. This is the one I've been probably most promoting over the last couple of years. I really love this dwarf. Loropetalum has a great compact habit. These are brand new potted ones here in the Southern Living Plant Collection containers, you can see. And there's more of the red diamond back here in the background, but you can see, here at Baucom's how many of these they're producing. This is just a great compact variety that you can keep, 3 feet wide and 2 feet tall. Again, this one gets an almost reddish flower too, which is, again, pretty unique with Loropetalum. It's listed as a dark pink or something, but it's closer to red in my opinion. And again, it has that purple coloration through the entire plant. Found a beautiful crop of lemon lime Nandinas here at Baucom's. These are pretty newly potted in a 2-gallon container. They'll probably be next spring flush. They'll be finished for their customers. They sell to landscapers and then all kinds of stores all over the place. Pretty big operation. Beautiful plants here, as you can tell, and super neatly organized. And they do a lot of pieces from the Southern Living Plant Collection. Lemon lime Nandina, Steph and I have seen in the landscape maybe 3.5 feet in height and 2.5 feet in width after many, many years. This one is super compact, super low maintenance. It doesn't flower, so it doesn't berry, so it's not invasive. That's a concern with, old-fashioned Nandinas for folks, as their invasive nature. These lemon lime Nandinas and obsession, I think we'll find some obsession Nandinas are not as well. One thing I want you to notice on the top of these containers is they're using sawdust right on the top of the containers. We're seeing more and more of this as we travel around and see and visit nurseries. A lot of them are using rice hulls, and they're using sawdust here. And what that's doing is creating kind of a dry barrier at the top of the container and preventing weed seeds from germinating. So a way that they can reduce some of their weed pressure in the nursery, reduce some of their labor, obviously, but also reduce the amount of herbicides they're having to use to produce these plants. So kind of an interesting strategy we see developing across the nursery industry. Found a great crop of golden Oakland hollies here. I've talked about this one several times. This one can get 15, maybe even 20 feet in height, but with a very upright, narrow habit. Zones 6 to 9, those of you watching can grow this plant. It's great. The variegation is very stable on this holly. A lot of variegated hollies we see, the variegation's kind of all over the place, but this one's consistently got good gold color on it, and it, you can see how fastigiate it is. Almost every branch on it wants to go up. So a minimal amount of occasional pruning. If you want them wider, if you can prune from the top, but if you don't, you can just let it go. And again, very, very upright and narrow. Just an easy plant. There's a few green Oakland hollies over here. Southern Living Plant Collection does the green Oakland holly, and then the variegated version is called golden Oakland holly. We found a beautiful crop of Kaleidoscope Abelia. This crop looks fantastic. A small flush in the spring, and these will be heading out the door, I'm sure. Kaleidoscope, like other Abelia, bloom all summer long, so they'll get fairly small, insignificant flower on these variegated ones. It shows up a little more on the green varieties, the actual flowers do. But they get plenty of flowers, and the pollinators absolutely love them. Perfect little round domes that they get kind of an orangish color in the wintertime, and then during the heat of the summer, they're going to be just have the variegation. And so you can see we're at a transition time now. It's in November. We should have had more cold air at this point. They probably should have taken on a more of a winter color at this point, but they got a little bit of winter color mixed with their summer variegation. But you can see all the colorful colors that are in this, and it stays this way, year round. It's doing something all the time, so it adds winter interest as well. And then again, the pollinators absolutely love these. Great plants for foundations when you have low windows. That's where you'll see a lot of these Abelia being used. Plus, they're really indestructible. I mean, really, really rugged plants. And that's all Abelia: variegated Abelia, green Abelia, large growing ones, dwarf ones, doesn't really matter. They're sun tolerant, heat tolerant, drought tolerant once they're established, and even quite a bit more shade tolerant than you would think. Standing in a greenhouse full of blush pink Nandinas. Blush pink is like firepower. Think about firepower Nandinas if you're familiar with them at all. They're green in the summer, and then they're bright red in the winter. Blush pink steps that up and gives you this pinkish new growth all season long. So you get this multiple coloration where the older leaves are green and all the new foliage on it is pink. And then in the winter time, it does the same thing firepower does, and it turns bright fire engine red. And so this plant just takes firepower, and it's just as drought tolerant, disease resistant, deer proof, urine proof if you have a dog. Good plant to put on a corner if you have a dog that likes to target your plants here or there. Drought resistant, and then they don't seed themselves, so they're not invasive. But then you get that added color on them, which we're looking at them in November. If you look at these from about April 15th until now, you get all of this interesting color happening on them all season. And then as the nighttime temperatures get cooler going forward, they'll start to get more of that fire engine red. And if we'd have been cooler up until this point, we'd see a little bit of that in them now. But again, it's too early. This is a pretty newly planted crop, but I think, one spring flush on them and they'll be able to sell these for sure. Beautiful crop. Still over here at Baucom's, and you can see all the sunshine ligustrum, this house, that house, and then 2 or 3 more houses going down. These are actually typically produced in a little bit of shade, a shade cloth, and then they'll take the shade off and get the sun on them, and that will color them up. But interestingly, this plant in a nursery setting doesn't like to grow out in the full sun. And so anytime you see me filming these, they're always under trees or under shade cloth or something. This one happens to be open because they're coloring them up to send out. But it loves the sun in the ground, but for some reason in a nursery setting, it wants to be in a little bit of shade. But, they sell themselves. Look at all this color. So we found the third sterile Nandina in the Southern Living Plant Collection. We've showed you lemon lime, and then showed you blush pink. This is Obsession, and Obsession is one of the top selling plants in the Southern Living Plant Collection, and for good reason. It's another one that just has this great all-season color change happening on it. The oldest foliage is green. Here we are in November. All the new growth during this growing season is a reddish color, and then in the wintertime, almost the entire plant turns back to that reddish color. Super compact. Again, you're talking about, Nandinas were always the perfect landscape plants because of their drought tolerance and their deer resistance and, like I say, dog urine resistance and all those kind of benefits. But unfortunately, they were, you know, the old-fashioned Nandina domesticas were invasive, and these are not. And they're also these are dwarfs, so they're only going to get 3 feet or 3.5 feet instead of 6.5 feet. This is Colorama Scarlet Crepe Myrtle from the Southern Living Plant Collection. I have not shown this plant. I don't show a lot of crepe myrtles. You guys know I'm not a giant crepe myrtle fan, but this one, I have, you know, I had not seen it growing in mass. I've seen it, and I've seen the beautiful red flowers this one gets, and so I am drawn to it more than I am some others. The new foliage is so beautiful. I mean, we're in November. This thing's still putting on growth right now because it's been abnormally warm, and you can see what this thing will look like flushing out in the spring and throughout the summer anytime it's actively growing. And you see, and then this fall color starting to take hold on it as well. So you get this, it's called Colorama for a reason. You get the bright, or Colorama Scarlet, you get the bright red flowers, and then you get this beautiful foliage coloration as well during the season. So I am kind of drawn to this one. We found a new crop of Miss Lemon Abelia. This one we have one of in the back garden space. If you watch the videos, a lot of times I'll do my Q&A, and there's this little dwarf variegated Abelia behind me. It's reached about 2.5, maybe tipping 3 feet in height, a little bit wider than tall in 2 years. Of course, we did a lot of soil improvement there to have things growing that fast. In the late winter, I'm going to give it a pretty good haircut because I want it to come back out to about that same height that it reached this year every year. So I'll cut maybe 8-10 inches of growth off of it, but it grows in this perfect little mound shape. Again, blooms all summer, just like Kaleidoscope. And in fact, we're in November, and there's flowers on it. We saw a crop of these yesterday, and the entire greenhouse at another nursery was full of bees. Early in the morning today, and it's much colder than it was yesterday, so I don't see any bees out. But I mean, these are feeding them right up through the fall every year. They don't get started typically blooming until you know, June, even July some years. Perfect little variegated mound. Miss Lemon holds its color really well through the winter, so it doesn't really change up. So what you're seeing right now is what you'll see 12 months out of the year. Again, these are pretty newly planted, but they grow so quickly. They'll put on a flush in the spring, and they'll be selling these at that time. Found a beautiful crop of white wedding hydrangeas. These are new. They have just been potted not that long ago, but they look great. And here we are in November with flowers on them. That's been our experience at the house as well. They'll, you know, Hydrangea paniculata start blooming in the early to midsummer, later than other hydrangea types. But these will take a lot more sun and then you know, continue to bloom. And what we found on white wedding is it can be cut. You know, the nurserymen will have it bloom out, and if they don't sell them all, they can cut them, and this thing will put up some new growth and flower again. Most of what you're seeing in this video is from Baucom's nursery, but we actually moved over to Latham's nursery, which is a little east of, or southeast of Charlotte, North Carolina, and found this beautiful crop of Fire Chief Arborvitae. This one is always changing, always doing something. Super interesting little tight, compact Thuja occidentalis that in the spring, it's almost a kind of a lime green color, all the new growth on it. And then it settles into an orangey color that is right in the, now in November is transitioning from orange to red, and through the winter it'll be kind of a reddish color. Really tight, compact habit. This plant can be kept kind of whatever size you want to keep it, 3 by 3, you know, 4 by 4 even, if you just let it grow and grow and grow. Again, super low maintenance plants, would prefer sun or part shade. And then these are hardy in zone 5 to 8. Really great sun tolerance in the south. This one was selected for its heat tolerance, and just amazing. But this is a beautiful crop of them here at Latham's. So we'll finish up with a shot of these white wedding hydrangeas in this greenhouse. Thanks to Baucom Nursery for the tour of their place this morning over here in Charlotte. Again, this is a wholesale nursery, but there's, you know, if you're buying plants in North Carolina and South Carolina, you're probably have bought a few plants that Baucom's grew here. It's an incredibly detailed, well-managed place with, I mean, it's virtually, I mean, it's just, it's really polished operation that they have here. So we've enjoyed touring it and showing off some of the Southern Living Plant Collection pieces that they produce. Thanks for watching.